Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of HorrorHands, and for this video I'm going to be talking about Count Dracula. So this was a film that came out in 1970, right in the heyday of when Hammer Horror were releasing Dracula films starring Christopher Lee. And this is a Dracula film starring Christopher Lee, but it's a little bit different. This was directed by a Spanish director called Jess Franco, and it has a very European feel to it, which I liked. And it's hard to articulate what that is, but if you've seen many Spanish or Italian films from the 70s, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. They have that kind of artistic look and quality to them, which this one certainly has too. In terms of storyline, it doesn't really do anything original. It's just another take on the Dracula film. But this is regarded as one of the most closely adapted films from Bram Stoker's novel. I really like the locations in this film, both internally and externally. Externally, I liked the gloomy European countryside and the misty forests that surround the castle. I thought that was really cool. And internally, I really liked the Count's castle itself. It was very, very empty and very barren, which I thought added to the kind of sombre atmosphere that this film kind of creates. And whereas Hammer Horror's castles are quite richly decorated, you have like the rich red curtains and carpets and antiques and trinkets everywhere. This was a very empty castle, which I liked. It created a certain atmosphere which I think suited this film. Christopher Lee was amazing as Count Dracula, and that kind of goes without saying, but I think it's good to note that he can nail the Dracula role outside of the confines of Hammer Horror. And for me, the most notable performance was Herbert Lom as Van Helsing. I think Herbert Lom is a fantastic actor, and he brings an underrated presence to his films, no more so than Van Helsing in this film. And whereas Peter Cushing brought like the noble English gentleman to the role, Herbert Lom has more of an authoritarian academic approach. And he has like these cold, dark eyes, which kind of make you feel like he means business. He knows the Dracula lore inside and out. He's been studying it for years, and he knows his stuff. So you kind of trust yourself in his character that he can deal with this, and I like that. So I really recommend it. I like it. I know when it came out, it didn't do all that well. It was considered somewhat of a drab affair, but I enjoyed it, and it is more of a sombre sort of story-based film rather than the go for the throat, no pun intended, approach that the Hammer films tended to go with. But I really enjoyed it for what it was. The ending was kind of a bit, not a letdown, but they kind of just find Count Dracula and set fire to the coffin and throw it off a cliff, which sounds awesome, and it is. But for me, you'll never beat Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee facing off at the end of Horror of Dracula, and Peter Cushing tearing the curtain down. That is like the ultimate showdown. But this has a great ending too, and it works for the kind of film that it is. So I can recommend this. I really enjoyed it. In terms of the release itself, this is the Severin Blu-ray, and I can really recommend this because there's a brilliant special feature on the disc, and that is Christopher Lee reading the Bram Stoker Dracula novel. So it's almost like an audio book on the Blu-ray with Christopher Lee reading it, and listening to Christopher Lee's booming thespian voice retelling Dracula is just a joy to listen to. And because it's only audio, we get stills of the Count Dracula movie and posters and promotional pictures. So it's a really, really fun and interesting special feature. I've not seen that before. I've never seen an actor recount a novel to the film that they've just made. So I can highly recommend it for that special feature alone. So let me know what you think about Count Dracula. I'd be interested to know other people's take on this film. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more videos.